morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to the incredible parents. I feel privileged to open this event and stand here where my friends and I practiced a few rehearsals. As we read, interpreted, and rehearsal text, we transported ourselves to Patricia Palaco's colorful worlds where the children solved big and small problems. What child would not want to play around in such a world? She encourages us to imagine. When these words are shared with an appreciative audience, the experience is further enhanced. There is laughter, silliness, drama, and intensity, with children as the creators. So dear audience, sit back and enjoy.
Grandma looked at the horizon.
This is thunder cake baking weather, all right. Looks like a storm coming to me.
Grandma goes into the house.
Child, you come out from under that bed. It's only thunder you're hearing.
The air was hot, heavy, and damp. A loud clap of thunder shook the house, rattled the windows, and made me grab her clothes.
Steady, child. Unless you let go of me, you won't be able to make a thunder cake today.
Thunder cake?
Don't pay attention to that old thunder, except to see how close the storm is getting. When you see the lightning, start counting, real slow. When you hear the thunder, stop counting. That number is how many miles away the storm is, understand? We need to know how far away the storm is so we have time to make the cake and get it into the oven before the storm comes, or it won't be real thunder cake.
Grandma's eyes surveyed the black clouds away off into the distance. Then she strode into the kitchen. Her warm hands pulled a thick book from the shelf above the wood stove.
Let's find that recipe, child.
Grandma fingered the grease-stained pages to a crease spot in the book.
Here it is, thunder cake.
She carefully pinned the ingredients onto a piece of notepaper.
Now let's gather all the things we'll need.
Grandma scurried towards the back door. We were by the barn door when a huge bolt of lightning flashed. I started counting like Grandma told me to.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
The thunder roared.
10 miles. It's 10 miles away. About an hour away now, say. You'll have to hurry, child. Gather them eggs careful like.
Eggs from mean old Nellie Peckhen. I was scared. I knew she would try to peck me.
I'm here, child. She won't hurt you. Just them eggs.
The lightning flashed again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 miles.
Milk was next. Milk from old Kick Cow. As Grandma milked her, Kick Cow turned and looked mean right at me. I was scared. She looked so big. Zip went the lightning.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Boom went the thunder.
8 miles, child. Now we have to get chocolate and sugar and flour from the dry shed.
I was scared. As we walked down the path from the farmhouse through the tangled weed woods to the dry shed, suddenly the lightning split the sky.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Boom, ba-boom, crashed the thunder. It scared me a lot, but I kept walking with Grandma. Another jagged edge of lightning flashed as I crept into the dry shed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Crackle, crackle, boom, kaboom, the thunder bellowed. It was dark and I was scared.
I'm here, child. Hurry now. We haven't got much time. We've got everything but the secret ingredient.
Grandma whispered as she squinted at the list.
3 overripe tomatoes and some strawberries.
I climbed up high on the trellis. The ground looked a long way down. I was scared.
I'm here, child. You won't fall.
I reached 3 luscious tomatoes while she picked strawberries. Lightning again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Kabang, boom, boom, the thunder growled. We hurried back to the house and the warm kitchen, and we measured the ingredients. I poured them into the mixing bowl while Grandma mixed. I churned butter for the frosting and melted chocolate. Finally, we poured the batter into the cake pans and put them into the oven together. Lightning lit the kitchen. I only counted to 3 and the thunder rumbled and crashed.
3 miles away and the cake is in the oven. We made it. We'll have a real thunder cake.
As we waited for the cake, Grandma looked out the window for a long time. Then she looked right at me.
Why? You aren't afraid of thunder. You're too brave.
I'm not brave, Grandma. I was under the bed, remember?
But you got out of it and you got eggs from old Nellie Peckhen. You got milk from old Kit Cow. Went through tangleweed woods to the dry shed. You climbed the trellis in the barnyard. From where I sit, only a very brave person could have done all them things.
I thought and thought as the storm rumbled closer. She was right. I was brave.
Brave people can't be afraid of a sound, child.
We spread out the tablecloth and set the table. When we were done, we hurried into the kitchen to take the cake out of the oven. After the cake had cooled, we frosted it. Just then the lightning flashed, and this time it lit the whole sky. Even before the last flash had faded, the thunder rolled, boom, crashed, boom, just above us. The storm was here.
Perfect, just perfect.
Grandma added the last strawberry to the glistening chocolate frosting on top of our thunder cake. As rain poured down on our roof, Grandma cut a wedge for each of us. She poured us steaming cups of tea from the samovar. When the thunder roared above us so hard it shook the windows and rattled the dishes in the cupboard, we just smiled and ate our thunder cake. From that time on, I never feared the voice of thunder again. One night, far above a little farm in Michigan, a star sputtered and flashed and started to fall. As it fell through the night, One night, far above the little farm in Michigan, a star sputtered and flashed and started to fall. As it fell through the night sky, the geese honked their alarm, the chickens cackled, and the goats bleated and jumped wildly about. The bright light with the long fiery tail streaked through the night sky unnoticed by the family. Grandpa was reading the Herald, Grandma was correcting school papers, Cousin Steve was tinkering with his wireless, my brother Richard was practicing the piano, and I was reading a storybook.
Suddenly, without warning, the house started shaking.
Plaster came loose from the ceiling. Dishes fell from shelves. Rugs curled on the floor as if they had a life of their own.
The flaming objects made a terrible sound as it went shrieking over the roof of the house. Then it crashed into the ground with a horrible loud boom! It landed with such a force that the glass broke, chairs overturned, windows rattled, and walls shuddered.
The front door was laid open by the blast, and through an eerie light could be seen glowing from a big hole in the front yard. We were stunned, but soon cautiously overcame caution, and we timidly made our way outdoor for a look-see.
Why, it's a fallen star.
Of all the places on earth a meteor could have fallen, it landed smack dab in the middle of our yard.
Grandpa and cousin Steve pounded stakes all around the meteor and roped it off. The next morning, Grandma called Uncle Carl.
That's what I said, Carl, a real falling star right in my front yard.
Did you hear, Bertie? A falling star up by the goal place in Matsock Middle came in so low it almost hit the house.
Bertie called Mayor Hatch.
That's right, Howard. It took off the roof and almost hit the clothesline. That poor family.
Mayor Hatch called Pearly Beach.
Unbelievable. Took the roof, the power line, and hit us off.
Pearly called Vera.
I tell ya, it flattened the golf place, took the power lines, water mains, killed the stock, and it's still smoking.
Vera called Mr. Titus at the hardware store.
Everything is gone. The barn, the animal, and there's poison smoke coming from it.
Mr. Titus called Officer Washburn, who called the fire chief.
Sound like Billy Needles.
He started up engine 23, turned on the siren, and headed out. But the news traveled through the town faster than the engine could leave the fireplace, and Union City was abuzz with what had happened in Mudsock Meadow. All the townsfolk headed for the Gore place to see the mysterious meteor.
I wonder how big it is.
Just think, it came from way out in space.
Isn't this the most exciting thing? I can't wait to see Carly, George, and the kids.
This is more exciting than when Brittany got her elbow caught in a revolving door in the library.
As the crowd jostled, trotted, and bumped through the countryside, onlookers joined in and came along to see the meteor. Dr. Trotter's medicine wagon, the Chiquita Circus, and the Union City Ladies Lyceum fell in with the parade of citizens. They were soon joined in with the high school band, which hooted, tooted, boomed, and jingled their instruments as they ran down the hillside.
As more and more people arrived, Grandma and Grandpa's farm soon became a carnival of meteoric events. Meteor basket lunches were auctioned, meteor popcorn popped, meteor lemonade was made, meteor liniment was sold, and the Chautauqua Circus was going to give a meteoric performance. But most folks simply stood and stared at the wondrous meteor.
To think of all the places on earth a meteor could have fallen, it landed smack dab in the middle of our yard.
In the midst of all the festivals, a group of scientists arrived from Battle Creek College, the University of Michigan, the Michigan State University Science Department. They set up all their buzzing testing equipment and put on strange-looking protective suits.
The scientists looked thoughtful, scratched their heads, and wrote down lots and lots of data. The crowd leaned closer as their chief finally spoke.
Yes, sir, that there's a genuine meteorite.
The crowd clapped and cheered. Charlie Lake struck up the band, and the circus began a meteoric performance. Tommy said to Marietta,
I touched the meteor, and as soon as I did, I could play the trumpet better than ever before.
Marietta told Cecil that after she touched the meteor, she thought up the best recipe for pie she ever did have.
I'm going to end enter the pie contest at the next fair.
Cecil told Dr. Trotter that since she touched the meteor, she had more energy than she'd had in year.
I tell ya, I could feel something coming right up into my finger from that there falling star. It's magic, I tell ya.
Dr. Trotter claimed that ever since he touched the meteor, his liniment had acquired super mysterious healing powers.
Vera was positive that since she touched the meteor, her eyesight improved instantly.
I'm telling you, Carl, that I can see all the way across the barnyard.
Extraordinary. I touched it too. And I feel special. Really special.
As folks left the golf farm that day, they all felt special. They were changed somehow, inspired by the act of touching something that had flown across the galaxy. It seemed like magic, all right. The high school band went on to win the state championship that year, thanks to the trumpet solo played by Tommy, and Marietta's current blueberry pie took first place at the country fair.
Maybe all these things would have happened anyway, but who can say for sure? That meteor continued to be a source of wonder to the little town of Union City, Michigan.
To think of all the places on earth it could have landed. It came smack dab in the middle of our yard.
Thank you!
We share this, and then we're going to move in the middle.
Oh, yeah, it works.
My brother and our mother and I all lived with my grandparents on their farm. My brother and our mother and I all lived with my grandparents on their farm in Union City, Michigan. Now my Babishika, my grandmother, knew lots of things. She knew just how to tell a good story. She knew how to make the best chocolate cake in Michigan. After she told my brother and me a grand tale from her homeland, we'll always ask,
Bobby, is that true?
She'd answer.
Of course it's true, but it may not have happened.
Then she'd laugh.
Now, I knew she loved me all right, but I couldn't quite understand how she even liked my older brother, Richard. He had orange hair that was like wire and was covered in freckles and looked like a weasel with glasses.
The one thing that my Bubby didn't seem to know was how perfectly awful my brother really was. Mind you, he was always nice whenever she was around us, but as soon as she'd leave, he would do something terrible to me and laugh.
There were so many things that I just couldn't stand about him. The worst was that he was always telling me he could do just about everything better than I.
But I can pick more blackbirds than you can.
He jeered at me one day.
No, you can't.
And so,
Cannot.
can.
He whispered.
Not.
I said louder.
He whispered so low that I could hardly hear him.
Not.
I screamed back.
We both picked berries for most of the afternoon. Well, he upped and did it. He not only picked more berries than I, he set a record that wasn't even challenged for the next 10 years.
You make me sick, Richard Barber.
I yelled at him.
Then he smiled that smile that only a rotten, red-headed older brother could smile.
I guess I would have to face it. He could run the fastest, climb the highest, throw the farthest, sit the longest. No, I have to wait. Get the dirtiest. And burp the loudest.
Burp.
And spit the farthest. He had no equal, certainly not me.
And I'm 4 years older than you. Always have been and always will be.
Sneered.
There had to be something I could do that he couldn't. Then inspired thought comforted me like a fresh breeze on a hot summer day.
Oh, Richie,
I cooed as I stood next to the rhubarb bushes.
do you like rhubarb?
No,
He said.
it's the sour stuff on this planet.
Now I knew at long last that I had him.
Bet I can eat more of this raw rhubarb than you can without getting the puckers.
I challenged.
I don't think so.
I do.
I insisted.
Don't.
I hissed.
Do.
I said furiously as I grabbed the first stalk and started chewing it almost down to the leaf.
When I couldn't get one more sour bite into his mouth, he was still eating with relish.
I thought you said you didn't like rhubarb.
I said through pursed lips.
I don't like it. I love it.
He announced as he popped the last stalk into his mouth.
I was so mad I couldn't even feel how my belly was starting to ache.
I can't stand you, Richard Burr. I tell you I can't stand you.
I screamed as I went into the house to be consoled by my grandmother.
And I'm 4 years older than you, you little twerp. Always have been and always will be.
He called after me. Then he laughed that rotten, red-headed older brother laugh.
That night at dinner, I could hardly eat.
Have you been eating angry apples again, child?
Bubby asked as she sliced me a huge wedge of rhubarb pie.
I baked your favorite.
Richard gave me one of his extra rotten, weasel-eyed, greeny-toothed grins.
At bedtime, my Bubby came and sat on the edge of my bed like she did every night.
Look, a falling star.
She said.
We watched a streak across the sky. Then she spit twice between her fingers and gave her chest a loud slap.
Why did you do that, Bubby?
I asked.
I was making a wish. Didn't you know that wishes on a falling star come true?
At last I knew how I was going to get back at my brother. For the longest time I watched the dark sky until I saw a star shoot across the night. Then I spit between my two fingers and slapped my chest. It was done. My wish was to do something, anything, better than my brother. I'd show him.
The next morning, all I could think about was my wish. I was thinking about it so hard, I almost didn't notice the wagons and trucks pulling into the field down the road near Four Corners.
A traveling carnival.
My brother shouted as he ran towards me.
They're setting up right there in our field. Bet I can eat more hot dogs than you can.
He teased.
He was already starting it, but this time I was going to do something so incredible that even he would have to sit up and take notice. I had a star wish. I'd show my rotten red-headed older brother all right.
That night I ran straight for the merry-go-round. We must have taken 50 turns on that carousel. But then my brother got off. I stayed on. I went around and around and around.
I knew I could do this longer than you.
I shouted at my brother, feeling proud but just a bit dizzy.
Trisha.
I heard my Bubby call out.
Get off that thing. It's time to go home.
The last thing I remembered was stepping off the platform. Next thing I knew, I woke up with Bubby sitting on the edge of my bed. Mom and Grandpa were there too.
You gave us a fright.
Mama said.
How do you feel?
What happened?
I asked.
You fell.
My rotten, red-headed older brother announced with the biggest grin on his face.
I don't know what we would have done. Your brother carried you all the way home, and then he had to run to go get Dr. Lee.
You have to have stitches. I watched it all.
He said excitedly.
You fell off the merry-go-round right into some pop bottles.
My gramps added.
You even passed out.
My brother chirped.
Looks like you finally did something special.
Thanks, Richie.
I said to him.
What's a big brother for anyway?
He said, blushing.
That night we were all out in the yard. On hot Michigan nights, it was my family's custom to sleep outside where it was cool.
Look at those stars.
Bubby said quietly.
Wishes are funny, aren't they?
I said.
Sometimes they come true differently than you think they will. That's why you have to be very careful what you wish for. It may just come true,
Bubby said.
Then she squeezed both of our hands.
Hang on to the grass,
She whispered.
Why, Bub?
My brother asked.
because if you don't, we might float up to the stars.
Then she leaned over and kissed us both 3 times.
I kiss your eyes and hold both of your hearts in my good keeping. And this night I thank God that I walk on earth with both of you. Amen.
Then we all just lay on our blankets in the gentle summer night.
I'll be 4 years older than you, though.
My brother whispered softly.
Then he smiled. All of us held one another's hand, and then we all drifted off to sleep. Thank you.
Thank you.
When my great-grandma Anna came to America, she wore the same thick overcoat and big boots she had worn for a farm work. But her family weren't dirt farms anymore. In New York City, her father's work was hauling things on a wagon, and the rest of the family made artificial flowers all day.
Everyone was in a hurry, and it was so crowded.
Not like in back home Russia, where Anna went to school. English sounded to her like pebbles dropping into shallow water.
In 6 months, I was speaking English.
Her parents almost never learned, so she spoke English for them too.
The only thing she had left of back home Russia were her dress and the babushka she liked to throw up in the air when she was dancing.
And my dress was getting too small. After I had sewn her a new one, I took her old dress and her babushka.
Then from a basket of old clothes, she took Uncle Voldemort's shirt onto Havala's nightdress.
And an apron of Aunt Natasha's.
We will make a quilt to help us always remember home. It will be like having the family back home in Russia dance around us at night.
And so it was.
I know I will invite all the neighborhood ladies.
They got animals and flowers from the scraps of clothing.
I can keep the needles threaded and hand them to you when you need them.
The border of the coat was made of Anna's babushka.
On Friday nights, Anna's mother would say the prayers that started the Sabbath. The family ate challah and chicken soup.
The quilt was the tablecloth.
Anna grew up and fell in love with the great-grandpa Sasha.
We picnicked on the quilt to show he wanted to be my husband. He gave me a gold coin.
A dried flower.
And a piece of rock salt, all tied into a linen handkerchief. The gold was for wealth.
The flower for love and the salt so their lives will have flavor.
She accepted the hanky. They were engaged.
Under the quilt, Anna and Sasha promised each other love and understanding.
After the wedding, the man and woman celebrated separately.
When my grandma Carol was born, Anna wrapped her daughter in the coat to welcome her warmly into the world.
Carol was given a gift of gold.
Flour, salt,
and bread.
Gold so she would never know poverty.
a flour so she will always know love, salt so her life will always have flavor,
and bread so that she will never know hunger.
Carl learned to keep the Sabbath and to cook and clean and do washing.
Married you'll be someday.
Anna told Carol, and again the quilt became the wedding chuppah.
This time for Carl learned to keep the. This time for Carl's wedding to Grandpa George. Men and women celebrated together.
but they still did not dance together.
In Carl's wedding bouquet was a gold coin.
Bread and salt.
Carl and George moved to a farm in Michigan, and great-grandma Anna came to live with them. The quilt once again wrapped the new girl, Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen called Anna Lady Grandma. She had grown very old and was sick a lot of the time.
The quilt kept her legs warm.
On my 98th birthday, the cake was the coolest.
A rich cake with raisins and candied fruit in it.
When great-grandma Anna died, prayers were said to lift her soul to heaven. My mother, Mary Ellen, was now grown up.
When Mary Ellen left home, she took the quilt with her. When she became a bride, the quilt became her huppah.
For the first time, friends who were not Jews came to the wedding.
Her mother wore a suit.
But in her bouquet were gold,
bread, and salt.
The quilt welcomed me, Patricia, into the world.
It was the tablecloth for my first birthday party.
At night, I would trace my fingers around the edge of each animal on the quilt before I went to sleep. I told Mother a story about the animal on the quilt.
She told me whose sleeve had made the horse, whose dress had made the flowers,
and whose babushka went around the edge of the quilt.
The quilt was a pretend cape when Patricia was in the bull ring.
or sometimes a tent in the steaming Amazon jungle.
At my wedding to Enzo Mario,
men and women danced together.
in my bouquet were
gold,
bread,
salt, and a sprinkle of wine.
so I would always know laughter.
20 years ago. She held Trissy Dennis in the quilt for the first time.
Someday she too will leave home.
and she'll take the quilt with her.
Thank you.
Testing.
Who is this? Thank you very much for coming to our Readers Theater. We forever appreciate your presence and encouragement as we step into new arenas in our lives. Always remember to have sense of humor in life. Only that will get you tough times. On behalf of my teachers and classmates, I want to thank you all once again. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much for coming. You may feel free to hang around for maybe 10 minutes, and then we need to go back to class. Thank you.